Hello, everybody out there, and hello, Liz. I'm very happy that you're here with me today.
So am I. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yes, it was a bit difficult. Last time we wanted to meet up, we had technical issues. So hopefully, I forgot what you're saying, that everything works out, but hopefully your spell will hold this time.
Divine order. That's
Divine order.
my switch
Exactly.
word. Yeah. For everything to run smoothly and flow as it should. So that's what I was chanting just a little bit beforehand, just to give us a bit of extra energy and smoothness today. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very good. So for anybody who doesn't know Liz Dean, Liz is an English tarot expert for a change. And you have been writing loads of books. I remember you said one of them was translated into German, but I forgot which title actually.
Switch words. It was the Switch Words book. Is
The
in
switch.
German. Yes.
That's why I had it written down on my notes.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're interested later, everybody who's here watching from Germany, you can read Liz in German. But you published a new book, Liz, on tarot and numerology.
Yes.
And
Can I show the cover?
yeah, of course.
Tarot by numbers. Yes.
Tarot by numbers, and it has just come out, right?
That's right. Well, it came out in July, so this is its first sort of season. It came out late July. Yeah.
And I had the pleasure to be with you at the Tarot conference in London.
Yeah.
And you had a presentation, and you talked a lot about tarot and numerology.
Yeah.
And this is why I invited you, mainly because you have a totally different approach to tarot and numerology from what I'm using or what I think everybody else is using. You came up with very interesting interconnections between the cards. And yeah, this is what I would like to talk about. But before that, perhaps people know Liz because she published the Games of Thrones tarot. I have my copy here. I don't know who has their copy. And you said you wrote the texts and somebody else did the images. Is this right?
That's right. Yeah, it was a lovely project. So I co-created that with the artist Craig Koss, which is, as many of you who are decorators who are listening in may know, it's a great and very sort of dynamic process to be able to work with an artist, someone equally as dedicated to creating a deck that really works, for tarot readers, because when you're given such an amazing property, if you like, to work with, such as Game of Thrones, there's a temptation just to show some of the scenes and to show lots of portraits of the characters, but symbolically as tarot readers, we want to work with more than that. So to be able to really tap into the archetypes, and to be able to make that deck usable for people who don't know the series, who will just feel that, oh, that's got an interesting energy, or I understand how to use these cards because I see some Rider-Waite compositions there. Some of the ideas were obviously based on Rider-Waite too. So it was a real blending of some of the symbols and imagery in Game of Thrones in the series with our traditional Rider-Waite knowledge. So trying to, and also just to broaden the reach of tarot, that someone who is curious but has never begun may think, I love Game of Thrones, maybe that's my way in. So none of my work is trying to make tarot accessible to as many people as possible, to bring people in so that they can find their own path.
Yeah, and Game of Thrones came out, or the Game of Thrones tarot came out long before the decks which are coming out now. There's a publisher who brings out loads of series and films I've seen. I saw Labyrinth and I saw Star Trek and whatever. And I really think this has a much better quality, these cards, I really have to say. they feel great and they have nice imagery. So it's not just produced very quickly. So yeah, it's really interesting. Though I have to say, after we talked about this, but after the ending of Game of Thrones, I find it hard to come back to the cards, because it's so sad what they did out of this show in the end. But anyways, we're going to show you some cards later, because you can explain your numerology with them quite well. But perhaps right now you just tell us what your approach to tarot and numerology is, basically.
Well, it started for me because I started to get more information from looking at numbers. So my approach initially was very intuitive. So it wasn't from a position of knowing a huge amount of numerology and thinking, right, I'm now going to apply that to tarot, or vice versa. It was actually when I was reading cards about 5 or 6 years ago. And for some, it just happened. I felt like I absorbed a number on the card, and it acted as a symbol, as a portal, and starts to bring in new information during the reading. The way that we look at any symbol on a card, and that may be the trigger for us to find out more. And this all happens very subconsciously. It's not something we can kind of track in a conscious way. But I began to see that numbers were bringing me information, and it wasn't literal. So for example, if I was asking about timing in a reading and I get a 4, I would look at the 4, and then the 4 would give me something else about that situation, and actually a different number. So one number led to another. And I felt incredibly touched by this. And I realized I'd had a little block around numbers because I was never good at numbers at school. I found maths incredibly difficult. I just felt really stupid. I couldn't subtract odd numbers in my head. And it was just, for me, a block. So I think for a long time, I didn't pay too much attention to the numbers on the card as symbols, as something I could really work with. So that's how the book started, from a very intuitive place. And then I began to intuit more, which was really my own connections between the majors and minors. Say, looking at the Hanged Man card, and I know we touched on this at the conference, and then seeing the 4, this reverse, this mirror image 4, and then I jumped to, I wonder if the Hanged Man might oversee the 4s in the minor arcana. Because this is a point of rest and incubation. And we look at the minor 4s, like 4 of Swords, which is rest and retreat. And even the 4 of Wands, which is a card, if you like, of joy and bliss. It's about a kind of retreat into childhood. And also, I think, expresses the bliss of the Hanged Man and his precarious position. So I began to make these connections, which I've explored in the book, between each numeric suit of minors, and assign to them a major card that I feel works with that energy, so that you can bring majors into your readings. If you get a lot, this is also good for beginners. If they get a lot of minor cards in a reading, they all get really scared. It's like, I don't know, that's that person, is that this person, what does that mean? But if you go, actually just look collectively, you've got a lot of 3s in this spread, right? You've got a lot of 9s. How can we connect those to a major? And it's non-literal, but it really, really worked for me. And it's a unique kind of system. And I really wanted to encourage people to look at their own systems, find their own connections between the cards. And we can just start with the simplest one, which is really just the internal numerological relationships, by just reducing the number so it falls within a major arcana sort of sequence.
But before you do this, I want to come back to the Hanged Man for a second, because I told you I missed out the beginning of your talk, so that's probably why I didn't catch this. I really like this. This is brilliant, because obviously we always say, the Hanged Man makes a 4 with his legs, but to connect it then to the 4s, which all have to do with stagnation in some way.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So that was my first sort of leaping off point. And then There were others I just already knew. You know, I knew the magician would oversee the aces, right? Initiation, concepts, beginnings, right? And we know
one kind of.
yeah, exactly. It makes a one. And then I also felt, you know, with the kings and queens, we're looking at the emperor and the empress. You know, the four faces of the empress with the four queens, and the same for the emperor. And then I began to look at things like the knights connecting with the chariot. I thought that really works. And then for me, the pages really connect with the sun, because the sun has the divine child in the garden, and the pages are often youthful people or young situations. And I saw each page as having a role in the garden, you know, to defend the garden wall, the page of swords, and then the page of wands would be the gardener, the work of the soul, gardening. I thought, how wonderful. So it all kind of worked out into these little groups. And it didn't fit for all major arcana cards. You know, some like the High Priestess, I didn't assign to a group of majors, and I didn't push it because I felt, you know, this works as it needs to. But I devised a spread that made it easy to bring those cards into a reading so that, you know, they could still appear. So yeah, so that was something that I've sort of worked on and off for the last few years, really. And it really helped me in my readings. Yeah.
So you gave us a handout at the talk, and I can see that you are kind of going from 1 or ace to 10 plus the court cards.
Yes.
But you don't attribute all the majors to these cards. You just said, okay, this works very well with this number, and this with this one number, and it's all done very intuitively.
Yes.
Intuitively. But let me see. From what I see, you not only choose 1-digit numbers here, obviously the hangman, but also 2-digit numbers. Yeah. And this is all explained in your book in detail, I take it.
Yes, you can. Yeah, I've given a good bit of space to each one. I mean, I've called this in my book Advanced Practice, because for beginners may find this more challenging because they can feel a bit overwhelmed just learning the card meanings. But when we do it, you know, and we can see. So there's a little bit on each. You can see there.
Yeah.
You can see how it works.
You attribute the major with the 4 numbers as well.
Exactly.
That's it. Minor arcanas, yeah.
Yes, and you can see the minors with it. Sorry, this is right to left. I mean, one of my favorites actually is the devil with the 5s in the minor arcana. That was another one of the first alignments I made, because if you think, it all depends how you deal with the 5, because 5 is the number of humankind. It's also the number of tests. So we are being tested in the 5s. You know, we either feel we've been bullied, humiliated, and ruined with the 5 of swords, or we're in some kind of competitive situation with the 5 of wands. You know, the 5 of cups is sadness, often comes up for bereavement. And the 5 of coins, poverty consciousness, fear of isolation. These are all challenges and tests for us. And the thing is, if we can't manage that situation well, and we don't have the support, we can end up in the devil, in that dark place, feeling trapped, we can't get out, that we've done a deal with ourselves or with somebody else, or we're giving in to negativity, or maybe, you know, negative thought cycles as well. Whereas ideally, we would go into the space of the lovers, the 6. So the 5 and the 1 adds up to 6, the numbers of the devil. So that's his numerological reflection, if you like. So ideally, we'd be able to think, you know what, I'm going to make a choice to try to manage my emotions, to help myself deal with this test represented by the 5. So it's like snakes and ladders. We can end up on the 6 of the lovers with a choice, or we end up going down, you know, down the snake into the pit of the devil. So you can see how 5 operates, and also 5 is in the devil's number in 15.
You're right. Herzensmensch said it's a working process. So I take it you're still kind of working on the system. Is it already complete for you, or are you going to put in the other majors at one point?
That may happen. That may happen. But at this point, I'm just letting it flow. I'm just flowing with it. And also, I offer it to other people to say, hey, how would you do this? Would you put the high priestess in? Would you put the moon in? Could you do it? Would you swap out one of my associations for one of yours? It's an invitation, really, for anybody to bring in their own intuitive knowing to this and create their own, because it's the idea that numbers can be free and that we can play with this and that we can't get it wrong. Because with me, it's numbers is something that, you know, there's a lot of pressure around it because you can get it wrong. Whereas what I've discovered through the symbolic sort of aspect of numbers is that we can be creative and play with those numbers and be playful. And for example, in the book with spreads, I thought, well, if you're going to do a relationship reading, why not do a spread of pairs? If you're going to do a spread about being tested, I use the number 5. I'll use 5 cards. So you can align the number of cards you use in a spread to your question. And that brings in that number's energy to kind of support and oversee the reading. And I've given examples. I love spreads. I just love spreads. Yeah, so I've got loads and loads and loads. So I've got, I did a little of this. 6s and 7s when things are slightly all over the place. 6s and 7s.
You have to show it the other way. This way.
That better. I'm not good left to right.
I know.
See how you can make a spread, how you can. Also, what I love is that you can try some card counting, and if anyone's watching now or catch up, we can do it straight away. You can just pick a card in your deck, any card at random.
Okay, I'm going to wait. I need to pick.
Okay, let's do it.
Meanwhile, Anna. I don't think this book is published in German. Perhaps
Not
at a later point.
Not yet.
But right now, it is?
Not yet. I'm hoping. I'm hoping it'll be a German publisher.
Yeah, come on.
So if there's any German publishers out there, like
today not. Today not. But I think it would be quite interesting to have this published in German. So, okay, you want us to pick a card?
Yeah, just pick a card, any card. I've just pulled one out here, but I keep it in the deck, okay?
Okay.
Put it in, I'm turning it this way.
I'm not turning, okay.
Yeah, I'm just so that you can see it. So keep it in a fan shape and then just pull it up so you can see it. And mine is a 3. So I'm going to count 3 cards back. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And pull that card.
Wait, I have to look at the card.
Look at the card. Exactly. Look at the card and look at the number on it.
Okay, yeah.
Right. And then tell me the number and then just count that number back.
Back this way or that way?
That way, to your left.
To my left.
Your past.
Okay, so it is a number 9.
Right. So count 9 cards to the left of your first card that you chose. Pull it out of the deck. Put it to your left.
I put it to my left.
Okay, and then go back to the card you originally chose that's in your deck and go 9 cards to the right.
Oh, no, I have to find it again. It was so far away. Ah, there it is.
Okay, put it to the right. So then take out the card that you pulled first identified in the deck. So now you have a 3-card spread.
9.
So the left is, I call it what's old. The card you first chose in the middle is what's new. And the card to your right is what to do.
Okay. The card to my right is what to do. The card in the middle is, sorry, you have to repeat this. I'm a bit slow today.
That's all right, so am I. The card to the left is what's old, so that's the past.
Old, okay.
The card in the middle is what's new, so that's the present. And the card to the right is what to do, so that's the future. It's just like a past, present, future reading.
I can see. Okay. So in the past, I took the Game of Thrones deck. I had the King of Coins.
Oh, the King of Coins, yeah.
I really like this actor. He's one of my favorites.
I do as well.
you see him in Queer as Folk?
Yes, he's brilliant in that. Yeah.
He was so lovely. I really fancied him. So, 9 of Spears,
Yeah.
is the present. I
Yeah.
don't like this. That this is
That's
the past.
challenges. Yes.
And the future is the Queen of Cups.
Queen of Cups. Okay.
So, yeah, that's an interesting reading. So you can just go intuitively. But now I have court cards. But now I could look up on your sheet
Yes.
what the queens are. The queens you compare to empresses.
Yeah.
And the kings to emperors.
That's right.
So there is a movement for me from the emperor to the empress, and from material issues to soul issues. So
Absolutely. And the 9s, I think, are overseen by the Wheel of Fortune. Am I right? To check my book.
The Wheel of Fortune is what? The 9.
Yes,
Okay.
the Wheel of Fortune oversees the 9.
Yes,
that
is the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I have to also think of this. Yeah, so times are changing.
They are. And there's also a sense of release and surrender there as well. And I think it's also having to be in that organizational side of your mind an awful lot, in that more masculine energy. And it's also, it derives from the King of Coins, which is earth energy, of the material structure, being able to say, do you know what, I've got all that in place now. I can release some of that. I can free up some of my bandwidth here to go back into the feminine. Yeah, because this, for me, that means there's something new that you need to create.
Yeah.
And that you're going to start working on.
Yeah. I need to get rid of schedules because they're doing my head in.
Yeah, they too. And that is structure. That's like that need to let go of structure with the Emperor cards in the past. Yeah. Embrace your Empress and to be able to start to create and recreate with some freedom. So that's a nice way of creating a spread, really, isn't it?
Yes, it's great. I like this. Yeah. I hope out there everybody understands what we did. If not, you really need to get Liz's book. I put everything already in the show notes, and I also put Liz's homepage into the show notes, so you can see what amount of books she has written. Quite impressive, Liz.
I think I need to lie down now, don't I?
Yeah, of course.
I think this was number 22. This book here is my 22nd.
Really? So now you have to start with court cards or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And also published in 2022. So
amazing.
Yeah, there's all these 2s going on, which
wow.
22 said the Emperor against structure. So
perfect. So you wanted to talk about two cards from the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at those. It's just nice.
I will just give me a second. I need to put them back in. They have disappeared again. That's here. No, that's not here. Here we go. And I will get rid of the frame so we can see the card better. So here.
Oh, good. Here they are. So this is interesting to me because it reflects the internal numerology. So we got the star as number 17. We had the 1 and the 7. That gives us 8 strength. So that's what I call a sort of the internal reflection between the 2 majors in the deck. But I wasn't totally aware of this at the time. And it's only looking back over the last few years, because this, I think, was published in 2018, that I realized that these 2 cards also link to the story. That Brienne, as strength, as the warrior, is the sworn protector of Sansa, who we see in the tower lighting the candle to try to be rescued. So, she's asking Brienne to find her, and Brienne tries to find her by, coming through the forest and lighting the lights at night in the darkness.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
life. And these two characters are really intimately connected throughout, the series. But I realized I'd connected them, again with the artist Craig Koss, numerologically as well, because they are reflections of each other. And also it's as if Sandra takes on some of Brienne's strength as she goes through her difficult life path. She has to become tougher. She has to become the person she didn't think she'd need to be, and she becomes dark. There's a darkness because of her having to deal with Ramsay Bolton and the horrendous cruelty and the shadow of this, that he casts, really. Whereas Brienne keeps her purity and her dedication and her honor. And I love the fact that it's one woman protecting another. It's not, it has to be, the knight in shining armor that comes to rescue her. It's a woman. It's Brienne. So I really love the way those two connected. But again, I didn't see that until after the deck was published. I thought, aha, these are connected. So I just wanted to touch on that, as I think it's important, in terms of that numerology, I think, can be a current that runs within you and you don't realize quite why it's there till later.
Yeah, and on the other hand, Sansa gives Brianna a reason for her quest. So she is the stars. So Brianna has some reason to travel and have adventures in a way, isn't it?
That's right. She gives her, or she helps validate her identity.
Yeah, that's also, yeah, that's better put.
I know that was quite good for this time of the afternoon, really, wasn't it? I'll use that again. So yeah, I rather love those cards for that reason. Yeah,
interesting. You intertwined the numerology even without knowing this.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, it's made me realize a lot is there within these numbers, and anyone out there wants to try this. I mean, a little technique I use is just to pick a card. Just pick a card. I like working with the majors with numbers, but you may want to work with minors. And just focus on the number. So I might just go into the 7, for example, on the Chariot. As the Chariot is the card of today. It's the numerological card of today. So any number. So I look at it, and then I visualize I'm taking that number into my third eye as a physical object almost. So I look at it, visualize it going into my third eye, close my eyes, and then I see myself take the object. So I take the physical number and I put it into a flowing stream. And I ask the number to take me where I need to go. And when I do that, I just be open to what else comes in. Sometimes it might be another number. Sometimes I'll see a clock face. Sometimes it might just be a really big feeling, a knowing. But it's like I can translate it back somehow if I start with the number, because it comes out in a solid form. And then it brings information with it, which may feel like it's just impressions of things you can't really articulate. But when you ask for it to come back, I can articulate it. It's really interesting. And it might be different for everybody. But the groups that I've done this work with, it really seems to do something. Because when you open up to these numbers, you realize that this is so creative. And we've all got such a connection with numbers, haven't we, as well? You ask anyone what their favorite number is, and everyone's got an opinion. Not one person has ever said, I don't really have a lucky number. Not one person can say it. And even if you don't say lucky, you say a number with which I resonate. People will go, it's 5s, it's 4s, or that waking up at 3:33 every morning because you know that number means something to you.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. It is universal. We share this need to connect with the energy of numbers, I feel.
Yeah, I'm just a bit nervous because now I'm get back again. I was freezing again.
Right.
But I'm back on track here.
Right. I'm just going to keep saying divine order, and it'll all be fine.
Divine order, divine order. I like this. I will keep saying this now every time before I go live. Yeah, interesting. So you are totally out of the mathematical, which I use a lot when I do tarot and numerology, but you use numbers in a way a bit like Pythagoras did it when he was philosophizing about them, isn't it? It's just
Yes.
yeah, it's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah. It's just at that moment where you think, I wonder what will happen next with tarot, because particularly like you, I've been reading for a long time now and researching it for a long time. And then all of a sudden you feel that you're pulled into this extra dimension with it. And yet more information comes through, yet more ideas. So I feel like working with numbers seems to help you be creative.
Yeah. There's a question from Herzensmensch again. If you have you.
Yes, it is to help with other chakras to fill the numbers, or only the third eye. Actually, another way that I sense with numbers is through the solar plexus. So sometimes I will feel that I'm vibrating to that number, to the frequency of that number in my solar plexus. Again, it's very different for everybody. Some people may, just feel like it. For me, it's the third eye. That's where I physically visualize the dropping in of the number. But I have now someone's asked the question, it's made me think about it. I sometimes can look at the number, close my eyes, and I can just feel it in the solar plexus there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there's like a little door that opens up. But it's just to allow it. It's really just to allow it. Give yourself time with a number, just for a minute. Just give yourself time with a number and just ask it to show you what you need to see.
I just had a crazy memory, which I can't talk about here, but
okay, that's good.
No, it's not to say this in public, but yeah, actually, I can see that you that one visualizes a number and it starts moving or whatever. I'm not so good with visualizing myself, so I have to practice this, but I think this is worthwhile to get more into the spirit. And what I really like is that you go away from this rigid form of looking at numerology, but make it as playful as the cards are, because we keep shuffling them all the time.
That's a very good point.
Shuffle numbers.
Yeah, we play with the cards, and when we're playing with the cards and shuffling with the cards, we are shuffling numbers at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, the original cards had no numbers, Yeah. So energy is already in the cards. It's just, it's just so much more than just a sequencing device.
Yeah.
I think that's what I thought was, well, it was just useful, and it was, when cards had to be printed, they had to know, printer had to know what order he was doing things in. So I get all that, but the numbers have seemed to have taken on a life of their own. Yeah.
Yeah. Like these things do. I really haven't touched the Game of Thrones tarot for a while, and I really like the linen cards. They're so nice.
Yeah, it feels nice, doesn't it?
You did a great job with this. I was wondering whether there are any more questions, but I think people have to digest what you were saying for the time being. So I think we have given quite a good idea what's in the book, and we don't, of course, want to tell you all of it because you're still supposed to buy the book. No, but I think people have kind of an idea what they can do. You've got a new tarot spread to try out there. And if there are any more questions you have about this, you can always contact Liz. You have a contact page. Obviously, you are on all social media as well, aren't you?
Yeah. Yes, I'm always happy to hear from people with questions or ideas or comments or synchronicity. Sometimes people just write to me because they felt this real synchronicity, like my book fell off a shelf and then it led them to a crystal. I've had all sorts of stories over the years. And then I know that my books are reaching the people that want them. And that's always lovely, that, you know, you'll find the book and you feel like you want it if it's right for you.
Yeah,
that's what we can ask, isn't it? Really, is that we're positioned to see the right opportunities. So yeah.
I love tarot and numerology, and I'm always happy to get started with something new. So I will definitely look into this. Are you going to be at the next tarot conference, perchance?
I will be, yes. I'll be at the UK Tarot Conference again, but this time it'll just be for fun and resting and learning rather than presenting.
Yeah, I can understand this. It's quite nice not to have to do something.
I'm presenting this Saturday as part of the divination conference on Saturday, which is
with Avril, the one, was it
with
Avril?
Miguel.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know. Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a World Divination Conference on Saturday, and I'm doing divination oracles in nature. So I like, I like taking my tarot divination skills out into the world a little as well, and working with charms and leaves and bark and things like that. Because it's nice to do it in public and to be outside doing our divinations, you know, and then see what people think when they walk past you, you know, doing sand throwing on the beach and casting stones. So that's another thing that I enjoy as well. But yes, I will certainly be at the UK Tarot Conference next year. And I do encourage people to go if they've never tried it for the first time, because it's where we meet so many amazing people and we learn so much from each other, which is great. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. So anybody out there who wants to meet Liz in person or many other interesting people, it's on the 1st October weekend next year. And you can also be a part of the Tarot Conference group on Facebook. It's a really nice group. You get lots of information there. Just show by, and of course, look where Liz is and like her or get friends with her, whatever. And there's a very nice compliment from Herzensmensch. She's really into what you did, obviously. So you got a compliment here. And from now on, you don't have to feel bad that you were not good at math in school, I think.
Maybe I've got over that now.
Exactly. So is there anything else you want to tell people?
No, just to say big thank you for listening, and thank you so much, Kirsten. It's just a pleasure to meet you and spend some time with you chatting today. And I think it's great that you host these forums for people to be able to talk about their work and what we do. It's really important. Thank you.
Yeah, I love doing this, and I'm so glad it worked out this time. So I'm sure we will have you back here at one point. And now enjoy the Scorpio season.
Yes.
And we see each other when we have circled another year.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, Liz. Have a nice time. And bye, everybody out there. Next week, I'm back with somebody else, I think. I'm not sure. I have to look on my schedule here.
Yes.
Have fun. Bye.
Bye.
Together.